In your cPanel, there's an area where you can manage backups for your website files. You should understand too that Cloudwire automatically does what's called a triple redundant backup anyway. And what that means is Cloudwire will inherently back up your website every night, a backup every week, and a backup every month. So in other words, if you ever had a problem and you needed Cloudwire to restore your website, we could go back a whole day, 7 days, or 30 days to what your website was. But in addition to that automatic triple redundancy, which is great, you can also manage your own backups if you choose to. And cPanel gives you ways to do that. The features in cPanel we're going to be looking at for backups are these: Backup, Backup Wizard, and the File and Directory Restoration. They're pretty easy to use, and I'll show you each one. Let's go into Backup first of all. If you ever wanted to just back up your entire account and have a copy of it offline, in other words, on your own computer, which isn't a bad idea, you can do that anytime. You just click this button under Full Backup. And what it does is it's going to take you to a screen that asks you where you want to store this backup. And this is really important because what this would do is it would create a backup, and that compressed file can be stored wherever you want. But first, you have to create the backup and tell the server or the software where you want to store it. And normally you would store it in your home directory. And what that means is you're taking a copy of your website and storing it on your website. So you wouldn't want to just leave it there, but that's where you would start. What this would do is generate the backup, put it in your home directory so that you could then use an FTP program and go get it and download it onto your computer. So that's one way to do it. You can also have the system send you an email when the backup's complete, because if you have a big website, it could take a while to complete that backup. Another way to use this is rather than store the backup on your existing hosting account, you could actually send it to another server if you have the FTP access to that server. And if you do, you'd need the IP address and the username and password and all that stuff that you would use to connect to an FTP server. So you could back up a file, or rather an entire website, onto a completely different server you have FTP access for. Now, this would be good if you were moving your website from another host to Cloudwire. And if that other host had cPanel, you'd go in there, make this backup, actually send your website over to the Cloudwire server through FTP if that's what you wanted to do. And there are some other FTP options here. Most people would actually just make a backup in the home directory, but then not leave it there. Use an FTP program to go download it. So that's kind of the long way around in a way, but it is an option. The other things you can do is you can just simply download whatever the most recent backup is that was automatically made. If you ever wanted to, you would just come to here and select the backup by date. So if this one is the one you want, the most recent, you click download, and this literally just downloads the tarball onto your computer. That way you have an offline copy of your web hosting account and your website files. And that's a pretty good idea because you can do that every day if you want. Remembering, of course, that Cloudwire also has backups. Another great feature allows you to do partial backups of just certain sections of the hosting account. So if you wanted to just, for example, download a backup of one of your databases, you could do that here. You could download the database and store it offline. And you could also restore it here. So if you had downloaded MySQL database from another hosting account, you want to move it to this one, it's easy to restore. You would upload it here by choosing the file on your computer and upload that database. So there's a lot of ways to move files back and forth, or up and down, if you will. And you can, of course, restore these as well as back them up here. That's pretty much how you use this backup section. Now there's an easier way to do it, and that is using the Backup Wizard. The Backup Wizard is basically the same thing. It's just spelled out in an easier interface. If we click Backup Wizard, it's just going to walk you through what I just said, only in a step-by-step way. First, it's going to ask you, are you backing up or are you restoring? Well, let's say we're backing up. So you click this button. Okay, step 2, do you want a full backup or do you want to back up just MySQL database, and so on. And the next step will be, where do you want to download that? So the Backup Wizard is just another way of looking at the backup feature in a step-by-step way. Now, the file and directory restoration feature in cPanel, this is really important because this allows you to work with those backups and restore them in an easy way. If you go here, this is assuming that you have already created some backups. So for example, if we had created a backup and stored it on our home directory, we would find it here. We could say, okay, I found a backup that I've stored on my account, and it would show here. And then you can say, I want to restore that backup, and that would be listed here. You could also browse your files and directories if you think you've stored backups in other places, which you can do, and this would show you those backups. So it's just a really easy interface to work with if you ever want an extra layer of protection for backing up your website, or if you're moving from server to server, these could be really great features. Hopefully that helps you understand how safe and secure your website really is when you host with Cloudwire.